up, you guys? This is Rob from Gay Guy Plays, and today on Hashtag Confirmed, we are digging into Devstream 118 and spotlighting the biggest topic of them all. Of course, that is Garuda, her passives, abilities, and all. So let's go ahead and, without ado, jump straight on in. Now, let me tell you, as soon as I saw Garuda with those big, crazy bone splinter wing things, I was like, holy fuck, she looked absolutely vicious. On top of that, she's got some really good cloth effects coming down from her arms, the metallics on those bone things. I guess the theme of it all was supposed to be like blood mage, bone splinter queen. They wanted her to be like elegant but also vicious at the same time, which I definitely think they captured. Now, the only thing that I will fault them for a little bit on the model, I think the model looks great. However, I don't think that it has enough metallics. So from what I was seeing on the stream itself, like almost the whole bone wing splinter thing was pretty much metal. However, on the rest of her, it didn't really seem like there was much metal to kind of like follow up with it. So it seemed a little bit odd that there was so much of that texture in one spot but not very much elsewhere. So I'm hoping that they incorporate little touches of it in other places so that it feels a little bit more cohesive. I'm also gonna be real with you, the helmet looks cool but isn't necessarily my 100% favorite, so I hope to see some alternate helms come out for her because I think she's gonna look absolutely fantastic. Oh my god, think about the Tenogen for this. It's gonna be absolutely sickening. Super excited. Now, let's go ahead and jump into the rest of her kit, starting off with her passive. Now, her passive is very berserker-like, which I found to be really cool because it definitely ties into the whole blood mage theme. The more damage she's taken, so the lower her health is, the more damage she does. And you'll actually find a little icon on the top right of the screen that shows that at her resting stage, she's at 100%. So that's how much her normal damage output is. But the lower her health gets, the more damage she will do. So you'll see that percentage rise as she takes more and more damage. Now, of course, this ties into the rest of her kit, specifically her number 3 ability. So I believe her number 3 is at least the placeholder name for it is Life Sunder. So it looks really cool because she actually does this kind of like spin and she gores herself. So when she comes out from this spin, she's absolutely covered and dripping with blood. It's almost Carrie-esque, but think of Carrie as like a bone splinter blood mage queen. That's basically what it is, and she looks freaking epic when she does it. I love this animation. I'm gonna be honest with you, don't love all of her animations, but we'll jump into that as we go. And this actually chops down half of her health. I believe that she can't reduce herself down to less than two hit points, kind of like with quick thinking. But she's able to go ahead and drop herself down, and her damage will actually go on from that. Thank you for the follow, by the way, on Twitch. Regardless, so we've got that going on. But of course, you know, that puts her in a little bit of a predicament. Exactly how is she going to keep herself alive if her whole theme is to deal damage to herself? Well, she's got a lot of the rest of her kit that kind of synergizes well with it. So let's go ahead and jump from her number 3, which deals, oh, the one thing that I forgot to mention about the fact that she deals damage to herself to increase her damage, she also gets energy back. So it's a really cool mechanic, kind of like health conversion from like warlocks and liches from other MMO RPGs. So this is a way for her to keep herself fueled just in case she needs more energy. Now, with that energy, she's able to use her first ability, which is called Soul Bulwark. Now, this one, I'm gonna be honest with you, it feels a little finicky and it looks a little ugly. I'm just gonna say it. I'm just gonna say it right here. So there's actually multiple stages to this ability. Activating it initially needs to be targeted. So you need to target an enemy, and what happens is she dives in and gores an enemy. It looks like an instant kill, if I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't see any damage numbers coming out of it, and I didn't see any enemies that were able to like, oh, I have more health than what this ability does, so you can't use me. But it seems like every enemy that Rebecca had dived in on instantly got turned into one of these bulwarks. So basically, what the bulwark does is it creates a directional shield, and you'll notice it in the footage that it kind of sways to the way that you're facing to kind of help prevent any damage coming in from the way that you're pointed, and it has a little blood orb there. Now, this is a duration-based shield. but the blood orb itself will hang around until you reactivate it. So again, keep in mind, this is a direction-based shield, so if enemies come up from behind you, you will be taking damage from it. That's one thing that I noticed from the footage, is that even if she had the shields coming up, she was still taking a couple hits from around. I'm crossing my fingers that maybe range will create more of a barrier, like kind of, you know, increase the wedge that you are protected from. I think that would be really, really awesome, and I'm crossing my fingers to see more of that, because if your whole thing is to gore yourself, it'd be nice to have a little bit more protection. Listen, when it comes to penetration, protection is still the key. So that's the first part. Diving in, you get the shield. The next thing that happens is the blood orb is up there, and as the shield takes damage, it's actually charging up that blood orb up top. That blood orb will sustain. It'll still remain there even after your shield's duration has dropped. So your shield could be gone, but that orb is still going to be there. You reactivate your one again, and you're able to throw it. Now you can actually hold down your one to kind of like charge it up and use some of your energy to increase the damage of the orb. And you'll actually notice that on the UI, the orb itself will always have a damage number like attached to it, which I think is kind of cool. I think it's kind of not the prettiest, but of course this is on the dev build, so you can't expect everything to look pretty and polished on there. But it shows the amount of damage, and as you charge it, the damage number actually goes up, and you can toss it at an enemy or a group of enemies, and it's a big AoE. So almost think about it as an antimatter drop, but instead, during the duration, it actually kind of provides you a directional shield to absorb the damage from. So I think that's really, really cool. However, if you kind of look at the key presses for it, it's a little bit weird. So you won to create the shield, you won again, you won to throw the orb, or drop the orb. And by the way, you can throw the orb ahead of time to drop the shield early, just in case you want to refresh the duration on it or something. But it's 1 to charge at an enemy, 1 to pull the orb down and start charging it. You can either charge it, or you can, you know, just tap it to kind of throw it, and then 1 again to reactivate the shield. So when things get a little bit hectic, it does almost feel like there's a shit ton of things that you're gonna have to manage to keep this shield on together. So definitely keep that in mind. That's one of my worries for this. Now, the other thing that I want to kind of add into this is because of the fact that she does have a little bit of a blood mage theme going on, and you'll see that with the rest of her abilities. But I almost think that if you are gonna make the ability this complicated, that you can add another layer onto it, because I think that it would be fantastic if, when you throw the orb isn't just dealing damage to enemies, but will also heal allies, or give them like health regeneration for a period of time. I mean, it's a blood orb, you use this blood to protect yourself, you use this blood to cast magic, so why not, you know, give yourself a little bit of extra life. Plus, while you're trying to recast your shields and trying to gore other enemies with Soul Bulwark, it'll give you some time with an additional heal to keep yourself alive during all of the animations that play out. So those are my feelings on Soul Bulwark. Also, I completely hate the way that the bone shield looks. It looks gross. I don't like it. I think it looks weird. I think that they need to tool it up a little bit, make it a little bit prettier. Of course, again, dev build, they're still working on it. Next one is Sanguine Siphon, and there is a lot to love about this ability. It looks fucking dope. Literally, and I don't know the range on this. This is one of the things that you guys have to keep in mind, is the range on this, they did mention, was a short range spear, where she literally penetrates an enemy with one of her bone spines. It comes out of the ground, stabs an enemy, and they're like suspended there, kind of like Ninja's spears. But what happens is it creates a little area of effect circle. And as long as you're in that circle, what'll happen is you will get fed life from that enemy. Now, this is really, really cool, and I'm crossing my fingers that this works on more than just yourself, but will also work on allies, because it's kind of like a nice support tool. So we're almost kind of making her support and offense at the same time. I think it looks fantastic, but the bone that comes out of the ground is not matching the metallics that are on your hands. So let's make sure that things are cohesive, because we want to make sure that it all looks pretty. So that is Life Sunder. I'm really, really excited for that one. The one thing to note about it is it does seem to work off of the enemy's health pool, because number one, while the enemy is spiked, you can't deal any damage to it. It's impervious from damage, but you can deactivate it early to drop that enemy, and the enemy doesn't necessarily die. So it's just one of those things. You spike the enemy, you're leeching off of its health pool. If you drop it down early, it's not necessarily dead unless you've completely used up all of its life, or the, you know, or the well expires or whatever. So that's Sanguine Siphon, that's her third ability, and her final ability is Engulfing Blades. So this one is a mix of several abilities. Number one, it's like Vauban's Vortex, and number two, it's like Ember's World on Fire, but with knives. So basically, Garuda goes ahead and channels. She is almost like in a Revenant state. So you know how Revenant has lasers that spin around? No, instead, she's got all of these bone blades that spin around her and suck enemies in. So enemies are being pulled into these blades. Think of it as kind of like, what do you call this? What is it? In the sink spinny blades, you know what I'm talking about. That's basically like that. Now, I think that this is a cool ability. The only thing that I have an issue with is the fact that damage ultimates need to be able to scale. And I don't really, at least from what they've shown us, mechanic wise, they didn't say anyway that, you know, kind of like when Revenant takes damage, his laser beams scale up and you can focus it. It didn't kind of say anything for her to have scaling damage. Now, if this thing procs a lot of slash, I might be okay with it, because as you guys know, slash ignores armor, or slash procs ignore armor and shielding. So yeah, fine. So fucking be it. If it procs slash, I'm down. The other thing that I want to say about it that really kind of irks me is the fact that the animation on it is so weird. She like levitates in air and she goes, she's very stiff and she just kind of is like this all the time. And I'm like, when I think like, you know, Bone Splinter Blood Mage Queen, I want her to have like a strut. Can she get a strut instead and just kind of like have like a hip sway where she's like, yes, I am the friggin' Bone Splinter Blood Mage Queen. You know what I mean? Give her a little bit of like, let's be real, like a little drag queen walk. Little drag queen walk would be appreciated with Garuda. Give her some sass in the strut, because what I'm seeing is just a lot of, I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, it doesn't feel very eleganza. She feels very like, I'm a lich, you know, I don't know. That's just my personal opinion on it. The other thing that I do want to say about this ability is it does synergize, I guess, with the other abilities. It feels very Revenant-esque because you can use Soul Bulwark, or you can have Soul Bulwark up while you're in this form to prevent damage from happening to you. And you can also drop down a Sanguine Siphon so that you're getting health. You're getting health constantly while you're in this form, so that way you can keep yourself safe, you can plant yourself in an area, you can vortex enemies into you and chop them up blade-wise and hopefully slash proc-wise. So those are her current abilities laid all out for you guys. I'm kind of excited. It does seem like certain parts of the kit are a bit finicky. The only thing that I really have an issue with is maybe some of the animations right now and some of the like visuals on it. But aside from that, I think this is like Carrie but with a crown, and I'm kind of really into it. I'm excited for her. I think she's gonna look fantastic. It really brings me back to my days of Vanguard. I don't know if you guys have ever heard about this old game called Vanguard. There was a Blood Mage class in there where you literally siphoned health from your enemies to heal your allies. So hopefully there'll be some synergy with Life Sunder and Soul Bulwark to be able to be support, but also be an offensive support at the same time, a really aggressive offensive support. I really like it. Go ahead and toss your feelings down below on her kit, how you're liking it, if she kind of like lived up to that expectation. Also keep in mind that this is still all in development. This is from the devs. This isn't necessarily something that they're ready to publish quite yet. So I'm sure that they're going to go through and tweak some more things, but if you see some things that maybe they should consider tweaking, leave it there, or maybe even more importantly, leave it in the Warframe forum so that they can go ahead and take a closer look at all of that. Regardless, I think she's going to be cool thematically. I think she definitely fits. I love all of the blood that is coming out of her, and how much more appropriate, like, duh, it's like Halloween-y time. Not that I like Halloween, but I like queens, so that works. Regardless, I'm going to go shut up, and I'm going to go work on the Devstream rundown for you guys. I figured that I probably have a lot to say about Garuda already, so just make it its own video. But that does about do it for me for now. So as always, love somebody, hurt nobody, and touch yo body. Also, Garuda's coming with a crossbow. They didn't give us any information on that, so I mean, like, don't hold me to it. That's why I didn't include it, but now you know. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye!